At the end of last year, I lost my job, but I managed to turn it into an opportunity and switch to self-employment. It was only possible because 1.5 years prior to that, I started exploring the 6 ideas for financial stability that helped me create a safety net for myself. Mind you, I am not a finance bro, I do not make 6 figures annually, and I don't have wealthy parents. But I make just enough to afford things that I like, to provide me with a sense of security, and to take a big leap of faith like I did with self-employment. And I can guarantee you that you can have that too. Out of the 6 ideas that I'm gonna share with you in a moment, not all of them will probably work for you, but the baseline is pretty universal and you can adapt them to work for your own needs. And without further ado, let's start with idea number 1. We all know that it's not the takeaway lattes that contribute to younger generations' financial instability, but it still makes sense to look after your own interests and cut down on the expenses that are not necessary. I once heard this quote, and I think it applies to this situation as well. It is not your fault, but it is your problem now. Meaning that nobody will solve your financial situation for you, even if it's a result of wealth disparity or wider institutional problems. The goal of this step is not to get rid of all the fun stuff, but rather to review your expenses, maybe even create a grading system based on the purchase's urgency and contribution to your well-being, and then let go of the ones that are not useful. For this, I like to use a dedicated page in my bullet journal. So first, I will write down all the necessities such as medicine, shampoo and other cosmetics, insurance and stuff of that nature. Then I will write down, or I will go through all other purchases, and I will highlight, maybe in a different color, the purchases that are not necessary but that I know will bring me joy. So for me, it will be traveling, visiting museums and eating out. When I plan my monthly budget, I focus on covering the necessities first, and only if I have some leftover money, I will use it for fun. For example, traveling is quite expensive, so if I want to be able to afford it, I will need to save up for a few months. Which means that I shouldn't splurge my money on clothes and accessories. Approaching my budget this way prevents me from overspending, from buying things that I don't need, while ensuring that I can afford things that truly bring me joy. Moving on to the idea number 2. Now let's add a more hacky tip. I would suggest you have 2 separate bank accounts, one for your yearly funds and one for your daily allowance. Out of the 2, it's the latter that should be connected to your credit card. You want to make sure that there are no commissions for moving money in and out of your yearly fund, and then you want to use it to transfer 50 to 100 euros at a time to your daily allowance account. I find that when you have a lot of money on your bank account, let's say a full monthly salary or even a few months worth of your expenses, it creates this illusion that you can afford more than you actually can. And the more money you have on this bank account that's connected to your credit card, the stronger this illusion is. The solution is to reduce your daily funds. When you don't have much on your credit card, you're also less likely to splurge. As a result, you will focus more on buying things that you actually need. And remember, you can always afford the fun stuff at the end of the month. Moving on to the idea number 3. Since we are on the topic of spending, thrifting is another great way to spend less and save money. And not only that, it also reduces your carbon footprint. Who doesn't like a bit of environmentalism? Plus, the quality is usually better as well. I think many of us can agree that the quality of clothes has tanked in the last decade or 2. And the best part is that you can buy pretty much anything secondhand. You can thrift clothes, furniture, kitchen appliances, sports equipment, hardware, literally anything. For example, companies usually resell their equipment when it either gets outdated, which now happens every year or every other year, or when they are out of business. So instead of paying a few thousands for a new laptop, you can get away with only a few hundreds. Moving on to the idea number 4. I think a lot of people get the idea of investing in yourself wrong. It doesn't really mean buying yourself a new wardrobe every month. Although, as mentioned many times throughout this video, you shouldn't stop spending money on things that you like completely. After all, the key idea behind financial stability is to increase your quality of life, and that includes hobbies and entertainment. But going back to the topic of investing in yourself, what it usually means is spending your money in such a way that increases either one of the two key resources: time and money. So when we're talking about saving time, investing in yourself can mean spending on cleaning or cooking services or even eating out. And when we talk about spending money to bring more money in, and since we will have a separate chapter on investing, here I want to talk about all the things that increase your quote-unquote employability. So think education, courses, or even some software subscriptions. It can be either about acquiring new hard skills, so you can learn how to use a certain software, a certain tool, you can learn how to write, you can learn how to edit, or it can be more about soft skills. So you can learn about things like building your brand within a company and being confident when asking for a raise, or networking if you're an introvert like me and you really struggle with networking. And mind you, employability doesn't mean that your end goal should be to get hired by a company. It can be about building your own company or working on a side hustle, but whatever it is, it should result in a cold, hard cash. Moving on to the idea number 5. This is the most typical piece of advice you will hear, but anyway, build your emergency fund. I can definitely attest to its benefits, as this was the thing that allowed me to take my big leap of faith. If you haven't heard of the concept before, then a rainy day emergency fund refers to 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses that you set aside for any type of emergency, be it a sudden sickness, a layoff, or a need to replace an old machine, such as when your washing machine breaks down. Depending on your personal preferences and your relationships with money, you can have it on a separate account or together with the rest of your funds. I personally prefer to have my emergency fund on a separate savings account, as first of all, I get an accrued interest, and while it is a small percentage, it is still better than letting your money devalue over time. And second, I really like the rigidity of this account, so in my case, I'm only allowed to withdraw money from that account 4 times a year without any commissions, which ensures that I only do so in case of a real emergency. If the idea of saving up 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses seems daunting, and trust me, I understand, I've been there, then choose a more realistic goal. Let's say to save up 1 to 2 months worth of your expenses. Focus on transferring a set sum to your emergency fund every month, even if it's only a dozen of euros or dollars, like $50, and in no time you will have your emergency fund ready. This alone will give you much needed peace of mind. Moving on to the final idea. Previously, the key to financial independence was to work hard, save up money, and buy property once you have enough. Well, that ship has sailed, and now we all are acutely aware of the fact that unless you use your money, it starts slowly losing its value. So while you're building your emergency fund, I would also recommend you to learn how to invest. While it might seem confusing at first, there is plenty of information online that can help you kickstart your own journey towards financial independence. I will link the course that I'm taking right now in the description box below, and of course it is not sponsored. You might have also heard of investing in index funds and dividend stocks as less riskier strategies, and it is true. Both come with
lower risks attached to them. Index funds diminish the risk through diversification, so they will spread out the risk across thousands of various stocks, and dividend stocks focus on predetermined regular payouts. Both can help you beat the inflation, but of course the return on investment might be not as high as with some riskier assets. Personally, I've tried investing in index funds and I can say that they do bring you good results. So I've been investing in S&P 500 and in Nasdaq for 1.5 years. And I think my return on investment is roughly 20%, which is pretty good. So it is a pretty good beginner-friendly strategy. And if you already know all the basics, but you're just not ready to test the water with real money yet, then you should try out a paper trading app. A paper trading app is a trading simulator. So instead of trading with real money, you get a fixed sum of imaginary money and you can use that to try out buying and selling stocks. There are many solutions on the market. Some are free, some work on a freemium basis, some provide learning material and some don't, so you can choose the one that you like. I've been using the trading game app and I've been pretty happy with it. You can trade stocks for free. They also have a beginner course on investing available for free. And you can browse the financial news that they report on a daily basis. And then if you want to access their entire library of courses or get more information on investing, then you will have to pay a recurring monthly fee. And once you're even a little bit ready, I would say just test the waters, and you can do so by investing as little as $100 or $50 or even $20. It doesn't have to be a big sum. And just like that, bit by bit, you will learn and build your wealth.
Before we finish this video, I'd like to say some parting words. When it comes to money, people tend to fall into one of the two extremes. They either obsess over money or they disregard it completely. Neither one of the two is healthy in my opinion. Money is a tool that can increase your quality of life significantly. A tool that can provide you and your loved ones with a sense of security, and a tool that can help you give back to the community. So, don't feel guilty, know what you need the money for, and start working on your financial goals. And with that, I hope you liked this video. I wish you a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.